796-5555, Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
In the off-season, it was a feel-good Friday. Now, what do we have? Football Friday.
Football Friday.
We made it. We started this show as a daily program in April. So for 4 long months, we had no football.
Love football.
And now, starting with last night's affair, we have football. I will tell y'all, in the college realm, I'm glad we don't have to talk much college football today.
But you're wearing your orange, Lauren. I noticed that as I scooted past you to go make my coffee and walk into the break room.
And look
You
at
have
my
orange
shoes.
on. And she's got Florida flip-flops.
This is a
on,
sickness.
folks.
That's what I was going to say. It's a sickness.
Like, I was so
didn't even
excited
want to wear orange and blue today.
When I got ready to go to work, I was like, oh, everyone's going to have teal on. I pull into the parking lot. Dan Hickens doing his laps. He's got his 30th anniversary Jag shirt on. And I thought Lauren would rock some teal. But
So I do
I guess
Jags
this is really the last time you can actually be like, all right, here we go. We're a betting favorite. Let's do it.
I do Jags on Thursdays, Gators on Fridays. I have a whole plan all fall. And so, yeah, yesterday was Jags, today orange and blue. Although for the first time in many, many, many years, I really thought about being like, do I have to do this? Because A, it's Samford, and B, I mean, at this point in time, we don't even want to talk about where that program is headed. I will be surprised if Billy Napier is the coach in 2025, and I think everyone would be surprised if that's the case. But let's get it to the football. Last night, Ravens taking on the Chiefs in Kansas City. The delay felt like the longest delay we've ever had because we've waited so long for football to be back. But to me, Taylor, the difference in the two quarterbacks, and Chris Collinsworth pointed this out, Patrick Mahomes never misses the easy ones. He never misses the freebies. Lamar Jackson missed at least one freebie to Zay Flowers, possibly two if you consider the other one to Isaiah Likely in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar threw the ball 41 times and only completed like 26 of them. So that's, to me, it was almost too much. They were trying too hard to make Lamar and we get it. I don't want to take away because we've seen a lot of incredible throws from Lamar, but also you have this ability that a lot of other quarterbacks don't have when it comes to the run game, and you just went and got someone like Derrick Henry. And so to me, throwing the ball 41 times is a little crazy in a game like that when that is not your biggest strength. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes is just a whole other beast. And there's just, every time you watch him and you think that maybe you got him, you don't. And it felt like that multiple times during the game where it was like, you'll see him start scrambling around and guys, you feel like it's about to be a sack, and then he escapes it, and then it's a touchdown for 35 yards. And that's just what Patrick Mahomes does. And Patrick Mahomes, I think, will always do for the rest of his career until the end of it. So you just have to find a way that you're never going to eliminate Patrick Mahomes, but you just have to try and reduce it as much as possible, those big plays. And it's really hard to do. And especially now with a guy named Xavier Worthy who comes out like a cannon. I was like, goodness gracious, this guy, we knew he was fast, but it came on fast.
Mike Tirico's call where he's like, I feel like I'm calling NASCAR. I was like, that's how I felt watching that touchdown. Let's not bury the lead, though, ladies. Thank you to 210, one of our Heeligans, our good friend Heeligans on the text line, Design My Lifetime Enclosures.
Are we going Juwan?
No.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to Juwan, too. We'll get to Juwan to be certain. But 210 says, I was knocked out in the first quarter.
I was so tired. I was like, I saw the delay.
How many of you out there took a nap? Because I know I said to Taylor as we were walking in this morning, I was like, I ain't going to lie. I saw the whole fourth quarter. The third quarter, all of a sudden, I look down, and I'm like, whoa, how did that much time elapse?
That's why I said the delay felt so long because, when you're on East Coast time and things don't kick off until after 8 o'clock to begin with, then you add the delay. It was almost 9 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, I think the nice part about the NFL, though, is the halftime is only 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Unlike college, where that really is nap time.
You're really taking a nap.
Minutes, you really can take a nap. But look, the game to me last night was so fun because it came down to the very end. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when you watch Chiefs games, and I know not last year as much, but in the past, Chiefs games, it's pretty much the game is over by the third quarter because of how talented the Chiefs are on both sides of the ball. And that to me also stuck out, Mia. We talk about Mahomes, we talk about Kelsey. And we talk about Chris Jones, but those aren't the only three guys that they have. No. They have talent everywhere, and that's where the Jaguars have to get to.
Travis Kelce had 3 catches last night.
Yeah, Noah Gray
on 4 targets.
I got you.
Yeah. which we're going to talk about tight ends in general, because I think the Isaiah Likely storyline is likely one that many weren't anticipating. I know in both of my fantasy leagues, including our 1010XL one, the fourth year tight end out of Coastal Carolina went unclaimed, undrafted. I was quick to jump into that waiver wire in both of those leagues.
That surprises me because of how Andrews obviously was hurt towards the end of last season. Then he got in the car accident, and we saw how explosive Likely was when he had to replace Andrews last year.
And maybe it's just because people were high on Andrews bouncing back because the fantasy football community was really pumping this idea of Lamar Jackson being more of a passer, even as he lost weight, became more agile once again, which we'll circle back to that, because that for me was the biggest takeaway from last night, the run game for Baltimore, whether intentional or unintentional. So we'll circle back to that. But quickly on Likely, this was from Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler when they did their preview, coaches poll, and then bringing it to the fantasy realm. This is an excerpt from that story on ESPN.com. The Ravens' clear number one wide receiver is 2023 first-round pick Zay Flowers. But if you're wondering who will emerge as the number 2 receiver from a group headlined by Nelson Aguilar and Rashad Bateman, may I direct your attention to Isaiah Likely, who expects to be more than just Mark Andrews' backup tight end. Likely told me he's working on learning every position a receiver might need to know in the offense and expects offense coordinator Todd Monken to move him around the formation to maximize his receiving ability. Talk about a little Easter egg of what was to come. Because if you had told, I think, anybody that Isaiah Likely would be the leading receiver for the Baltimore Ravens against the Kansas City Chiefs defense, which has been a top 5, top 10 outfit the last 2 years, 9 catches, 111 yards. Heaven forbid he hauls in one of those 2 passes in the end zone for his second touchdown on the night. Man, oh man, that is the dynamic. In addition to the Lamar and the run game and Derrick Henry, I see you, Yuli Heeligans. We're going to get to the Yuli bulldozer and that story here in just a second. That was, for me, the biggest takeaway. Not so much the Chiefs won the game.
And I do think that maybe there is a little bit of surprise in it, but to Lauren's point earlier, the way that Likely came in last year and was able to perform, there's no way that the Ravens were just going to be like, thanks for your time last year, like, goodbye. I mean, his hands were incredible, everything he was able to do after catch last season. So there's no way they were just going to take him out of the offense.
He's just a backup now.
And yeah, there's just no way they were going to do that. So to me, it was almost more so like, okay, you guys game plan around Mark Andrews and Derrick Henry and Bateman and Zay Flowers, and we've got Isaiah Likely to do all of the everything else that we can ask him to do.
And that's the thing, when I go always back to how do you beat the Chiefs, you would think that a game plan with Lamar Jackson and how much he was able to run the ball with over 100 yards on the ground and his elusiveness, that would be the methodology. But yet the Chiefs are able to, with their linebackers, keep a spy on him. And even though, yes, he got that ground, he gained a lot of ground, I should say. At the end of the day, the Chiefs were still able to do enough to where they forced Lamar to make throws that he ended up not being able to make.
Did you see the play where the Ravens had their running back blocking Chris Jones?
Well, that was the final play.
The final one.
Justice Hill
Poor
on
guy.
back-to-back
Justice Hill
snaps.
was trying so hard. I tweeted, I was like, A for effort, because he was spinning around trying to keep up with Chris Jones, and it was just like, he didn't touch Patrick on that play, but he was working hard.
No, Justice Hill, I mean, all the credit in the world to him. And again, this is a different look running back room for the Baltimore Ravens, because quite literally Jim Harbaugh said, John, give me all your leftovers, took J.K. Dobbins, took Gus Edwards, brought them to Southern California with him. And so it is a new look. Although Justice Hill was there, he's the one returner, I should guess you could say. And then, of course, Derrick Henry. It's a different look. Credit to him. Lauren, I can't get away from the run game of Lamar. I'm sorry. That, for me, is the biggest takeaway. We can't just bypass it. For me, and yes, I see some Heeligans who are noting that the Ravens abandoned the run. I don't know if it was by design or not that Lamar Jackson had 122 yards on 16 carries. What I can tell you is I just pulled up his game log from 2023. Do you know how many 100-yard rushing games Lamar Jackson had last year?
I would guess 3.
Taylor?
Yeah, I feel
Your phrasing it makes me want to say 0. But
yeah,
I'm
I know.
guessing that.
Because I feel like they threw a ton last year, and that's what shocked people. I'll say 1.
Can we get a yes, sir, or a ding or something, RJ Saunders over there in producer radio row? Because yes, one game, 101 rushing yards, week 3, against the Indianapolis Colts, and he just got over the century mark. 101 rushing yards.
How many other times was he close to that?
The next highest total was, he did have 97, I'll give you that, against, wait for it, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Sounds about right.
Before that, though, 70 yards rushing against the Los Angeles Rams.
It obviously comes in critical times, too. It's when is he gaining those yards? And certainly that was a huge weapon for them last night. It's just, at the end of the day, you're always going to take Mahomes and what he can do in reading the defense and going through his progressions over Lamar Jackson. When it comes to who can win the Super Bowl, obviously Mahomes has proved that.
But couldn't you come away from this? I came away from this game and I said, you know what? This is Lamar leaving it all on the field. I understand he missed throws. I understand there were times he scrambled and maybe he should have hung in the pocket a little bit longer. But this was one of the first times in his 9-year career that which is crazy to say, by the way,
I know,
that I have looked at Lamar Jackson and said, wow, he took the team on his back, put the team on his back. He took this personally.
I feel like Lamar's had to kind of do that his whole career.
But this was different. The look in his eyes was different. Like, even after the Chiefs scored their final touch, like, he literally was like, okay, cool, grabbed his helmet and like ran back onto the field.
And it's interesting because I feel like they've made this product to where Lamar shouldn't have to do that, and that's what's interesting. For years, it was kind of like, okay, they were trying to figure out how to build around Lamar Jackson's strengths, and sometimes that didn't quite work out in his favor, and so he had to put the team on his back and had to make these incredible plays and had to do all of these not designed runs, but just kind of scramble around, avoid some sacks and make touchdowns happen. And now they have a product to where you feel like they should have enough weapons where he shouldn't have to do that. So it's honestly a little scary that I feel like he had to do all of this extra stuff, had to throw the ball 40 times and rush for 122 yards, and you could still only score 20 points.
That wide receiver room is scary.
I know.
It's Zay Flowers, the ghost of Rashad Bateman, the ghost of Nelson Aguilar, and
likely.
But that's what I'm like,
Isaiah likely moonlighting.
Mark Andrews.
Right,
you just got your tight ends that you're going to have to use in your receiving game a lot, like Kansas City does.
Exactly. And look, in the end, had Likely's toe been 3 inches, really more like 1 inch, but certainly had Lamar been able to throw the ball to Likely where he was clearly inbounds, then they do score at least 26 points because it looked like Harbaugh said we were going to go for 2.
Yeah.
Who knows if that's what the decision would have been made after, I assume it would. And then we would have, I think, enjoyed even more to see do they get it or not. And what play call do they use on that 2-point conversion? Probably Lamar running would be my guess.
Well, and it is because that's one of the things after when I'm this morning kind of thinking about it, I was like, the Ravens' toes really messed them up in this game because not only that touchdown, but all these illegal formations, and it would be by like this time, like a pinky toenail of over the line, and they're calling it, and I'm like, get your toes.
Meanwhile, Jawan's jumping off sides, and they're not making the call.
Coach is calling timeouts that they're not even allowed to call.
Yeah, literally. Steve Spagnuolo literally laughed about it. He's like, oh, no, I'm not supposed to do that. And they still gave him the timeout. No penalty. And look,
by the way, he's probably the most underrated coordinator in all of the league.
And that goes
Everyone
back
likes to focus on the offensive coordinators, but defensive coordinator.
We don't focus on
that.
Matt
Goes back to his that goes back to his time with TC up in New York too. By the way, I mean, he's really the architect of the 2008 and 2012 Giants Super Bowl teams. But no, I don't dislike the Chiefs, and it's not that I'm sick of them either. But I just expect it at this point. Like, we're going to make our picks for the NFL 2024 season. We tweeted them out. We texted each other. We have timestamps to prove that we didn't just come up with them this morning after what we saw last night.
It was also one game.
Yeah, it's one game. But I had people replying to me saying, why did you predict, spoiler alert, a repeat of this past year's Super Bowl that's lazy? And I said, no, it's not. I've picked the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl each of the last 4 years. They've made the AFC title game every season that Patrick Mahomes has been the starter.
That's the frustrating part, and that's why people are sick of them, is because Mahomes is literally always in it. The only time he's
Brady
lost
was always in it.
Right, and people were very sick of them too. All right, I want to get it to Jags Dolphins. On the other side, Cameron Wolfe will join us from down in Miami, national NFL reporter. We will talk all about that game on Sunday. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Uncover what you might have missed.
He's quick. He's got great hands. He finds the gaps.
Dandy Foods Post-Game Monday.
And most importantly, he moves the chains.
Expert analysis of Sunday's game all day. Post-Game Monday. Brought to you by Dandy Foods on 1010XL.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence. served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pit masters since '68.
Winning season is back, football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. Mia here, and this season MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays, where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget it. MyBookie will refund your wager. That's just the beginning. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super Survivor and Squares contests. Get your entries in now for your shot at huge cash rewards. For a limited time, they are bringing back the double deposit bonus too. When you're ready to get started, just use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. You heard that right. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Maybe you want to get in on the action tonight between the Eagles and the Packers. Philadelphia currently a 2-point favorite down in Brazil. The more you play, the more the win. It's that simple. Don't forget promo code 1010XL. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Pregame Friday
Is brought to you by MyBookie.
and Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Homeowners, good news for you. Accent on 4. Listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Prosser here. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted. So low, we haven't seen them in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.99% APR. So whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in process with another lender, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days, with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Call 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Owner approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's a Monday morning must.
We actually found it.
Yes. Hall of Fame Monday with Tony Baselli. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida. Monday mornings at 7:20 with Dan and Jeff on the drill. on 1010XL.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists returns with their free bumps and bruises evaluation clinics. Now with 4 locations, these free injury assessments are open to all schools and athletic programs. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 through October 26th at Cortex Sports Performance in Ponte Vedra, Preferred PT in Fleming Island, and also at Brooks Rehab on Centurion Parkway and Brooks Rehab at World Golf Village.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
We love talking sports on 1010XL, and I9 Sports loves giving kids the perfect way to grow up playing sports. Fall and winter registration is underway. Log on to i9sports.com and see all they've got to offer. Kids 3 and up. You can enter 1010 in the promo code for a discount. Year-round sports all across the First Coast. St. John's, Duval, and Clay. Sign up now for fall and winter. Great locations added like Fort Family Field, Westside Middle, and Duval Charter Bay Meadows. It's all online at i9sports.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Welcome back on this Football Friday, always a Sunshine Turf Friday. You can visit sunshineturf.info for more information or call Caleb and his team 904-892-0580. You can also check out the latest project on 1010XL's Instagram. We'll catch up with Cameron Wolf in just a little bit, but first, let's talk Jags Dolphins. Mia, I'll start with you. Finish this sentence, please. The Jaguars will win if
they run the ball.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I really was just thinking about it on the drive-in this morning and listening to Move the Sticks with our good friend Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah, and them, of course, glowing about the weapons on both sides of the ball, not just in Miami, but the offensive firepower through the air that the Jaguars possess, whether that's Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, now Brian Thomas Jr., even Travis Etienne as well through the air. But I can't help but come away from looking at this matchup and addressing the biggest shortfalls of that Miami roster being the interior of their offensive line, the interior of their defensive line, and coming away with this idea of the Jags, regardless of if it is working initially or not, need to pound the rock and not abandon the run, because that also will open up opportunities for Trevor Lawrence. I know it's a song and dance we've done time and time again. I'm hoping Press Taylor learned his lesson. I'm hoping the fact that they've elevated Phil Rauscher, giving him the run game coordinator title. They brought it down to the studs. I'm hoping that changes it. Because if what I saw from Tank Bigsby, if what I saw from Travis Etienne during training camp is real, if what we saw in the preseason is real, not only is that a way to eventually find the end zone, ladies, but that is also a way to dominate time of possession. And much like the Baltimore Ravens last night, why do you think John Harbaugh kept going for it on 4th down? Because it's not about points when you're going against Mahomes. It's not about points and getting into a shootout when you're going up against the Dolphins.
It's about keeping the ball away.
It's about trying to keep the ball away from them and having more possessions. And so that is where I just think that for me is the biggest linchpin of this game.
Taylor?
Yeah, I don't think one thing is going to lead to the Jags winning the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of things that
the Super Bowl or Sunday?
Oh, I thought you said Super Bowl for some reason. I thought to win the Super Bowl. Oh, Sunday. Yeah, I think that. I think running the ball is a big part, but I think a lot of it comes down to the line, which helps running the ball. So to me, I think the offensive line has to look like they're meshing and quickly. You don't want it to be a situation where people are in Trevor's face fast and quick. You don't want to have to see that, especially again with a defensive line who we've talked about is missing pieces and isn't one of the ones that we're talking about a ton in the NFL. But I also think that obviously if your line is playing well, then it's also helping in run blocking. And when you can get Tank up the middle getting some yards and ETN on the outside getting some yards. So to me, I think it comes down to the offensive line and Mitch Morse and all of them right away clicking and it not taking time for all of them to kind of get on the same page. Especially we saw all the penalties last night. Those type of things cannot happen.
Agreed. Morse is one of those guys where we talked about him a lot. He and Eric Armstead, those two veteran guys that are so incredibly important for this team. But now knowing everything that we do about the defense, I think Morse is almost even more important than Armstead, because I'm not sure Armstead is going to play nearly as many snaps as I probably originally thought, at least at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And Morse is going to play, as long as he's healthy, every single snap all season long. All right, so I'm going to give you some times here, some 40 times. Anthony Schwartz, 4.27 seconds. Tyreek Hill, 4.29. Devon Achane, 4.32. Raheem Mostert, 4.34. Again, these are all 40s. Jalen Waddle, 4.37. Jalen Wright, 4.38. Odell Beckham Jr., now this is a while ago, but 4.43. What does all that say to you?
Fast.
That's the Dolphins. Speed.
Urban Meyer was right about something,
That
folks.
is
That's
correct.
what wins in the National Football League, although OBJ won't be playing, so at least we
Right.
can take one of those weapons out.
So to me, you have got to get pressure on Tua Tagovailoa so he cannot get the ball out quickly to those guys with that speed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, even if you definitely want to get to Tua, you want to create some pressure, you want to have him force some things because we've seen when Tua starts making mistakes, things do start to unravel a little bit for him. And so that's an important part. But I do think, like, with somebody like Tua and with how fast those weapons are and with somebody who like Tyreek Hill, who after the catch is incredible, it doesn't matter. Like, no matter what, he catches it, gets another 15 yards every single time. With those type of weapons, even if he's not getting it to them in 1 second, he's still, you give him 3 seconds. If he gets one of those weapons, the ball, it's over. So getting that pressure and actually getting Tua down, and this goes back to last year, transforming the difference between last year and the year before, transforming those pressures into actually getting sacks. Continuing that, I think, is really important this year because for so long you can say how pressures help certain things, but getting the quarterback down and forcing some of those mistakes in that way, I think, is really important. And I think it will be this weekend, too.
And once again, offensive line play is going to be critical for both sides because the Dolphins lost a whole heck of a lot in free agency. And much like the Christian Wilkins departure that I think could play into the Jaguars' favor on the other side of the ball, in that the interior of the Dolphins' defensive line has deficiencies, that interior of their offensive line has questions because of those two big money free agents that departed at the guard position. And you couple that with both of their tackles have been banged up. And so very excited to speak with Cam Wolfe a little bit later in the program. Of course, does a great job at the NFL Network. Broke the news this morning alongside Ian Rappaport of one Jalen Ramsey getting the bag. Does that answer the hamstring injury, by the way?
So today, Mike McDaniel said at the press conference when asked, will Jalen play on Sunday? His quote was, I don't know.
Okay.
So people are thinking that means he'll play. I still
Maybe
don't
it's
know
Jalen
because-
just toying with people.
Well, and again, they play Thursday night against the Bills. That's a division rival. That
Which
game
is more
really
important. Where do they think they need Jalen the most?
Right. And look,
Well,
at the
if
end
you look
of the
at
day,
if you look at the rest of their secondary, they may need him against this team too.
So Ethan Bonner is a guy who they think might replace Ramsey. His combine 40 or his pro day 40, 4.39. So I honestly have been thinking Jalen with a bad hamstring, or at least not 100% hamstring, might be better for the Jaguars than a guy like that's as fast as Ethan Bonner because he might be able to keep up with BTJ better than Jalen. I would rather see the injured Jalen going up against BTJ. I think he'd get burned.
Bonner has also played in 2 career games.
Correct. But he supposedly had a really good training camp.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what Miami and Jalen are both evaluating too. Is number one, how healthy are you? Because are you going to hurt the team more than help the team when you're on the field? Also, would this extra? Do we want to possibly take the hit and beat in a week 1 team who the offense has a lot of new pieces and the Jags still trying to figure some stuff out? Nobody knows how quick those wheels are going to be rolling once the season starts. But then you go to Buffalo. Is it at Buffalo or is it?
I believe so.
Because they're home, unless they have back-to-back home. But then I'm guessing going on the road against Buffalo, who also
they are home.
They're home.
They're home.
Okay, so
Yeah.
back-to-back.
I guess that's
you get to
what
host
their
them.
favor they gave.
Yeah.
The NFL gave the Dolphins.
So then you get to host Buffalo, but still it's a team with Josh Allen, who everybody knows what Josh Allen can do. So they're maybe in their head they're like, let's give Jalen an extra 4 days. So maybe that's what they're debating: is are you more likely to hurt or help when you're on the field at this moment, and how healthy do we think you could be in 4 days if we give you this extra day of rest?
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun about the Miami offensive line. It's going to be so much fun to see what Ryan Nielsen's defense looks like. We've waited a long time because we haven't seen Eric Armstead out there in the preseason. Where does Trayvon Walker play? How much does he get after the quarterback? Obviously, Josh Hines-Allen has a knack for that as well. Chad Muma, is he going to be blitzing? Are there going to be safety blitzes? Like, there are so many different things that we know Ryan Nielsen likes to do, but we haven't been able to see it for real yet. And so attacking that offense, that's going to be something that I think if the Jaguars win, that's a lot of what we talk about.
Yeah, and when you talk about even Miami game planning, that's another part of it too, is they'll obviously get to go back and watch the Ryan Nielsen Atlanta defense, but that's not with the guys that he has on the defense here. And so even they are going to be playing a guessing game of how to go up against all of these guys that they've added in the offseason, but in addition to the ones like a Trayvon and a Josh Hines-Allen. So I'm sure Miami is also looking at this like, okay, this is a little bit of a guessing game, and how are they going to approach how much movement is going to happen? Where is Eric Armstead going to be? Where, all of those little factors that we've been talking about all offseason, Miami's looking at it the same way.
Let's hear from one of those players on the Jaguars defense, shall we, ladies? Before we get ready to hear from Cam Wolfe down in Miami, I caught up with Jaguars veteran, crazy to say that as well. I'm feeling old between Lamar Jackson entering year 8 and Devon Hamilton entering year 5 here one-on-one ahead of the Jaguars game against the Dolphins. Pleased to be joined with Jaguars defensive tackle Devon Hamilton. Devon, good to see you. Week 1, can you believe it's finally here?
Yeah, everything's flown by to this point. I feel like we were just in camp, just starting off camp, and now we're here right now.
365 days ago, where you were, where you are now. For you to suit up on Sunday, what will be the emotions for you?
It'll be very emotional. I feel like it's just like been a long road. A lot of struggles back then, but to see where I am now, I'm just so thankful, so blessed, and I really couldn't ask for much more than that.
Physical, in terms of your weight, where would you say where you are versus where you expected to be at this point? We could say like 6 months ago, have you defied the expectations from where you thought you would be?
Yeah, I feel like I'm feeling really good, real healthy, ready to move, ready to play fast. So, yeah, I'm feeling really good.
A couple of weeks now with this crew, with training camp, what have you seen from not only some of the veteran guys like Eric and, new additions along that front, but as well as Roy, returners, and some of these young guns too?
I think we all just really bought into what we were doing here, and, it's been a transition for us from previous staffs and whatnot, but I feel like this has been a really good transition for us, and I think it's going to be really good for us this year.
How is your role different, same from the previous scheme to Ryan's scheme?
Shoot, it's the same thing. I'm just trying to get better every day, help my teammates get better, and ultimately make our team better. So, the same goals, just different team.
Let's talk a little Miami Dolphins. Their offensive line, that run game, compare it to any you've faced before in the regular season in your career.
I say they're very explosive. So, it's going to be a tough job for us up front, and definitely linebackers in there with us. But, it's a good challenge for us, especially for a week 1, I think.
As a defensive lineman, would you rather face those bruising bowling ball type backs, or is it something about these speed guys?
I don't know. Each one has their own thing to get through. They say those fast guys, you really got to be running, really got to get on them in order to get them down. They say the bigger guys are a little bit tougher because you really got to come ready, come prepared, or they're bigger dudes. But I'm excited for this week, though.
Their offense as a whole, where do you, besides going to the film from the preseason and their film from last year, where do you go to, either in your memory bank or previous film, to prepare for this game?
It's kind of a harder question, I would say. We don't know much about them. I haven't played them since probably 3 years ago in London. So it's been a minute for me, but just kind of looking back in the last season, their preseason is really as far as we went.
When it comes to Tua Tagovailoa, is he like any other quarterback you've faced? Because I know obviously the big notion is he gets the ball out quickly, which creates a challenge for you guys. Is there any other quarterback you can really compare him to?
No, I think he's just a special athlete in our sport, and he's very difficult to go against, especially when pass rushers, you want to get there, you want to have a little bit more time to get to him, and he's throwing the ball quickly. It's really tough for us. So I don't really know anybody I can really compare him to. He's a very interesting, unique player.
Miami, hot. You guys are in Jacksonville, though, so you're not talking about that. You're not worried.
Yeah, it is what it is. We had some tough days during practice this camp, so I think we're going to be prepared for that part.
Last question for me, Devon. What does this first game mean to this team as a whole, knowing how last year ended? What does this first game represent?
This is the start that we got to have. We obviously want to win every single game we can this year, and I think this is going to be, like I said, a very good starting point for us to be able to show what we do and our culture culture and how we play. So it's very important for us.
Devon, thanks so much.
No problem.
Much as we've talked about players who, could be X factors for the Dolphins, or even as we went through the preseason, Devon Hamilton, again, is a name where if you're the Dolphins and you're preparing for the Jags defense, you're talking about Josh Hines-Allen, you're talking about Trayvon Walker. You're not necessarily talking about Devon Hamilton, but I would put him up against a whole heck of a lot of interior defensive linemen, especially at that zero tech at the nose, comparatively to some of the other teams that the Jaguars will face this year.
I hope they watch his film from last year, right when he came back, and say, "Oh, he's not a problem." Not realize.
And then you go back to the playoff game, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that guy."
Never mind.
That guy.
Also, thank goodness for Devon in that 2020 draft.
Yes, yes, and DT.
Everyone kept saying that, but if Devon wasn't in that draft, you would have had 12 picks and got a special team player out of it. Out of 12 picks.
Which DT, by the way, the only player. We'll hit the injury report in a little bit, but since Doug Peterson spoke a little while ago, Daniel Thomas is the only player on the injury report for the Jags, and Doug Peterson said he's optimistic and hopeful that he will play on Sunday.
All right, good stuff from Devon. We will check in with Cameron Wolf down in Miami when we return to continue the Jaguars-Dolphins conversation. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Football Friday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
Florida homeowners are going to extreme lengths to stay cool this summer.
We sit in front of the refrigerator with the door open and only eat frozen foods while they're still frozen and put ice cubes down our pants. Whoa, that's cold.
But the most popular and cost-effective way can be summed up by a quack. Just call Duck Duck Air Conditioning. For AC repairs to new installations, you too can beat the Florida heat with Duck Duck Air Conditioning, Jacksonville area's AC experts. Trust the Duck to keep your cooling costs low. DuckDuckAC.com.
Now at Hodges Mazda, drive off in the perfect SUV. Lauren Brooks here. Take advantage of 0.9% APR for 60 months on the 2024 Mazda CX-50 and 2024 Mazda CX-90. Both expertly blend rugged capability with refined luxury, offering versatile performance and sophisticated design to fit your lifestyle. Plus, with 2 years free maintenance and our non-commissioned sales team putting your best interest first, it's an offer you don't want to miss. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expire September 30th, 2024.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
We all get knocked down, but slipping and falling on a wet floor can keep you down and out. At Farah & Farah, we'll investigate if unsafe conditions caused your injury, and we'll fight to hold those responsible accountable. You may be down, but that doesn't mean you're out. Farah & Farah, Jacksonville.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 6th, Baltimore Orioles' Eddie Murray hits 500th career home run, becoming the third player in Major League Baseball history to have both 500 home runs and 3,000 hits.
Prosser here. Hey, pick a news source. But the reports are home prices are expected to decline in 2025, even after the election. So you need to maximize your home sales price now before this downturn, and you can do it with the agents proven to sell for top dollar, Chad and Sandy Newman. Hey, perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a lowball out-of-state instant offer, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home. but you're not sure how? That's why you turn to Chad and Sandy, who have the answers. No required costly repairs. Chad and Sandy are the local real estate experts I trust and recommend for the sale of your home. Tony and Maggie at Jack's Golf and Country Club said, we recently had a job transfer and we needed to sell fast. With homes in our area struggling to sell inside 100 days, we didn't know what to do. Our worries were solved when we hired Chad and Sandy. Our home sold in 3 days for one of the highest prices ever in our neighborhood at over $1 million. Call the local experts we trust, 904-414-6200 or ChadAndDSandy.com.
Welcome to ABS, Advanced Business Solutions, your local print management partner and home to Xerox and HP copiers. From IT management to VoIP phone systems, Advanced Business Solutions is the right name to know.
When the sun goes down, you might think a golf course shuts down, but not at the Golf Club of Southampton. Join the gang every Thursday night for trivia with Brooke and Jason, and everybody's favorite night, Friday night on the patio, featuring local musicians, food, and drink. It's all at the Golf Club of Southampton. Great golf. You've come to expect that. But don't forget, when night falls, the fun doesn't stop. Trivia every Thursday night in Southampton's live music patio session Fridays. Call 287-PLAY to make a tee time and the good time.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
This is Dr. Steve Crenshaw, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars' #1 cornerback, Tyson Campbell, is a critical key to Sunday's game against the Dolphins. Campbell was asked in the locker room this week about his approach to facing Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
A guy that looks to, get the ball to his receivers and get the ball out of his hand quickly and throw it deep, make explosive plays. So that's our goal, stopping explosive plays.
Campbell on the matchup against Tyreek Hill.
Arguably one of the best receivers in this league. Very fast, very quick, trusting your technique, accept the challenge.
Tyson Campbell this week in the Jaguars locker room. Jags Dolphins, Sunday at 1 o'clock. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels on this Sunshine Turf Friday. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks, and we are now joined by Cameron Wolf, NFL Network national NFL reporter. Cameron, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate y'all having me.
Absolutely is right. So let's get it to the former Jaguar, now Dolphin, of course, Jalen Ramsey. Will he not play? And if he doesn't play, tell us about Ethan Bonner, Storm Duck.
Absolutely. Just been working on this all morning. Me and one of my colleagues, Ian Rappaport, broke the news on Jalen Ramsey becoming the highest paid cornerback again. So there's a lot of speculation about his hamstring injury, and he was back at practice today. I just watched him work out about 15 minutes ago, and so he was backpedaling well. He was doing individual drills. Mike McDaniel said that he did not know at this stage if Ramsey would play. Ramsey hasn't practiced much the last 3 weeks with that hamstring injury. But I will say this, he's a vet who has played a lot of games even when he hasn't practiced much. And so I would anticipate, it's more likely than not that you see some version of Jalen Ramsey out there. Now, I will say this, the Dolphins have been very careful in the fact that they played Thursday again against the Buffalo Bills after the Jaguars game. And so Mike McDaniel called himself Mr. Load Management today. And so there could be a capacity where Jalen Ramsey plays but doesn't play a full workload. And if so, you do see your Ethan Bonners, your Storm Ducks, as you mentioned.
The irony is not lost on me, Cam, that Jalen Ramsey has an injury and may not be playing the Jaguars. And now all of a sudden he gets paid and now he's at practice. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was like, hey, I will let the people connect the dots. I will not connect the dots.
Yes, exactly. Those are my words, not yours. It's all good. Cam Wolf of the NFL Network joining us live from Miami and from Miami Dolphins practice. Cam, let's stay with the injury report for the Fins. Aaron Brewer, Benito Jones, obviously at the heart of that offensive line, the heart of the defensive line, respectively. What's your expectation for those two players and their availability on Sunday?
I expect both Aaron Brewer and Benito Jones to play. I talked to Aaron Brewer in the locker room out here in Miami yesterday. He actually told me he broke a bone in his hand a month ago, and he had surgery in it. I believe he had pins placed in, but he said he's practiced all week. He snapped all week. The injury was on his right snapped hand. He said he feels pretty solid. He said there is some still discomfort, but it feels like otherwise he has a brand-new hand. And so he will start at center. Liam Eichenberg, who had been playing center in his place, will start at right guard, and I anticipate Benito Jones playing at defensive tackle. But those guys may be less than 100%, talking about Brewer and Benito Jones. And so one thing I'm watching is the battle between Aaron Brewer and Eric Armstead inside, because as you guys know, down in Jacksonville, that's a huge addition. He's been a game wrecker for a long time in the interior, and if he's back health-wise, I'd anticipate him having an advantage in that matchup. And if I was Eric Armstead, the first thing I'd love to hear is that my center I'm facing is coming off a broken hand. That would juice me up a little bit more.
And you combine that, of course, Cam, with another player you're very familiar with. We just heard from him, Devon Hamilton, and his return to full health after being banged up throughout the course of last season. But quickly on that interior three, I want to hold on that thought, because that has been the X factor I know that I've tried to hammer home all week. This is a new look interior three of that offensive line for the Miami Dolphins. How are they gelling so far? Also, what is the health of those two tackles who, while certainly have some skins on the wall, but have been banged up this offseason?
It's a great question. To me, that's the biggest question mark about this Dolphins team, the interior of their offensive line. And it's funny because the Dolphins offensive line has been a question mark for a long time. And every time you talk to their general manager, Chris Greer, or head coach Mike McDaniel, they always say, hey, you guys are worried about it more than we are. And maybe we are, but the reality is that group has kind of been a revolving door. They lost Connor Williams and Robert Hunt in free agency. Both signed pretty nice deals. And so they brought in guys who were largely backups last year to fill those roles. And so Rob Jones will be their starting left guard. He was on the team last year as a backup. Aaron Brewer came over from Tennessee as the center, and he'll be the new center. And then their right guard is Liam Eichenberg, who has largely been a backup here as well. And so, yes, I would certainly be concerned, but the Dolphins believe their advantage is that Tua, their quarterback, gets the ball out of his hands quicker than any quarterback in the league. And so I don't anticipate the Dolphins winning that battle against the Jaguars defensive line. Their hope, though, is that they can win it enough to be able to get the ball out to Tyreek and Waddle before they get home. So that, to me, is a huge storyline. Can the Jags get there before Tua can get the ball out?
Now, Cameron, I know we want to get to the offensive side of the ball, but I do have another question when it comes to the defense, because obviously one of the bigger names that will not be playing is Bradley Chubb. And I know Miami obviously spent draft picks on both Chop Robinson and Mo Kamara. And then when you're talking about, I honestly was kind of keeping an eye on in the offseason. But what are the expectations when it comes to that linebacker room? What can the Jaguars expect out of them without a Bradley Chubb?
Yeah, it's a great question, because the pass rush on the defensive side months ago, he had a remarkable recovery. But he's one of those guys I expect to be on some sort of pitch count. I don't know what that, with the question marks early, Bradley Chubb's on PUP. So with the Jags in a regular season game of how much